and pepperheads. It's Jared from Motherboard Genetics, back again with another pepper review. Today we have a special one. I'm going to preface this by saying it's not going to be ready probably by this next season because the yield was not great, and as I'll put a picture of later in the video, the pods are very small and they don't produce a lot of seeds, so I don't have any to sell really. And not only that, but I want to make sure that that's not the case, or ideally it's not, but it did make a pretty cool pepper, so I'm excited for what this has the potential to be in the future. Today we have a cross between a Hainan yellow lantern pepper and a Scotch bonnet, regular orange Scotch bonnet. It, from what I've seen, I haven't tried this one yet, is a pretty good representation of the two parents. I will say that it reminds me a lot. They're very similar in shape. I'll put some pictures up on the screen of the two parents and this pepper. It's very similar in shape to the Scotch bonnet, as you know, you could show me a picture of this pepper and I would think that maybe it was even a Scotch bonnet, but it also gets a little bit from the Hainan yellow lantern. And I think that the orange color is a little lighter than a regular orange Scotch bonnet, which maybe is from the yellowness of the Hainan yellow lantern. Now, a Scotch bonnet is basically identical to a habanero in terms of capsaicin content. It's anywhere between, on average, all of these are on average, but anywhere between 100,000 and 350,000, which I believe is the exact same as a habanero. Scotch bonnet is actually very similar in, at least in my opinion, in flavor and heat to a habanero. There's not too much difference between them, little things. This one reminds me a lot of a habanero, and I guess Scotch bonnet because that's the actual parent. But moving on to the smell, it smells very close to a habanero. It's that fruity, very fruity smell, kind of tropical. This one, less so like a habanero, which is kind of floral. This one is more almost like one of the other reviews that I did, where I described the pepper as like a mix between a citrus and like a peach or a nectarine kind of fruit. It's kind of that smell, but sweeter. I have no idea what the heat is going to be on this. You know, you guys will see it here. I have a decent tolerance for anyone who's watching for the first time, but that doesn't mean that I am not affected by spice. I'll show it. I'm a little bit more reserved than other people in terms of spice. I'm used to it. I understand that it's just heat. You know, it's not hurting me in any way other than my brain is telling me that it's hot. But other than that, I'm not in any physical danger, and actually peppers are quite healthy, so I think I'm pretty good at keeping the emotions down and not being so animated when it's hot. But if you go back and watch my chocolate Starscream cross video, you'll see that it's not like I'm unaffected. Those things, even though they might not be technically the highest on the Scoville scale in terms of the actual numbers, they will mess you up. Those things are no joke. They're like little Thai bird's eye looking chilies, and man, they're insanely hot. Anyways, back to this. Like I said, the look, it's a small pod. It's this very light orange, but it's got this funny little, very akin to the Scotch bonnet, this like star shaped. And I'll show you a picture. I'll put it on screen. When I cut it up, this is the picture of the one seed that I was talking about. When I cut it up, because of the shape, the slices, if you were to slice it thin, almost make these little star shapes. And it's basically like that if you were to slice all the way down, and it's actually quite cool. We're going to move on to the flavor and the spice. Do that all in one. kind of hoping it's not too spicy. I'm on a relatively empty stomach from fasting, so I don't want to just drop this down and have nothing to absorb it and start cramping. So cross your fingers for me, but if it's anything like the smell, like I described it, kind of a fruity but mix of citrus and like a peach, kind of in between those, sweet but also kind of that bitter citrus smell at the same time. I hope it tastes like that, but I also hope it's not deathly hot. I don't think it's going to be, because neither parent is some overwhelming super hot pepper, but even if it's only 100,000, that's pretty damn hot. So wish me luck. I have a big piece. So when I extracted the seeds, I cut all the way down, you know, thinking to myself, there's no way there's only one seed. Well, there was only one seed, so I cut the top where the stem is off, one more slice, and it still wasn't quite into the inside, so I cut that slice off, and then I was able to get into the actual base of the pepper. It's gonna show on camera, but it's worth a shot. That's the big piece, and then I got a couple more pieces right here on this plate. Here goes nothing. I'm gonna start with the two smaller pieces. Right off the bat, extremely fruity, just like it smells. Little bit of heat. It's always the first swallow. Definitely some heat in these. For sure some heat. Got a LaCroix, or a LaCroix, however you want to pronounce it. Now it's not deathly hot. You could put this in a taco and it'll add a good amount. But it's not completely devoid like some of the other ones that I've reviewed that tasted really good and had almost no heat. I think it was my last review. That one was insane. It's definitely got some heat. Let's go in for the rest. Definitely has some heat. You can hear me sniffling. Getting some sweat dripping down already. It's not too hot of a day, but you know, hot pepper will do that. Making sure not to touch my eyes. Well, the flavor kind of sits in your mouth, which is nice. But it's not unbearable. I've had so much worse than this, where you're honestly wishing that you could rip your tongue out of your mouth. This one is cool. I'm interested. I need to work on it a little bit more before it's even close to being ready for sale. I'll probably try to stabilize it a little bit more, get the pods up in size, have it produce more seeds, because what am I going to do if I don't have seeds? I guess I could just take cuttings, but seeds are better for shipping to people who aren't local. But honestly, for the flavor, I would love that for a salsa. This one would be great for a salsa. There's a lot of different salsas that you can make. Jalapenos lend themselves really well to traditional, like pico. But this one would go really well paired with like a... I've heard peach mango salsa and nectarine salsa is actually really good. If you haven't tried that, you should look up a recipe and make it. This one would go really good with that. Other than that, I basically covered everything: the look, smell, the taste, the heat. Let me elaborate on that really quick. It's almost exclusively on the tongue. You know, a little on the roof of the mouth, but once that initial, it's always the first swallow where it kind of hits the uvula and you're like, oh god, that's pretty fucking hot. But after that, went away. It's not super bad in the throat. But as far as the tongue, that's where most of it is centralized. Sniffles are already starting to go away. I'm stopping sweating. It's just that initial punch where your body's like, dude, what are you doing? And then it kind of lets go, which is really nice. That's why it would go good in a salsa where, you know, if you're eating and you don't use too many of them and it's diluted, slowly it'll kind of build up and you'll get a little bit of heat. But then it'll go away quickly. If you're like, wow, I ate one too many chips, that's too hot. Wait 60 seconds, 2 minutes, and it'll be gone, which is awesome in my book. I don't like the ones that really like to hang on because you really have to know what you're doing. It's like, you really have to commit. It's almost like eating an edible, you know? You really have to understand what you're getting yourself into and commit to it, because if you're not ready for it, there's no magic bullet to get rid of it, you know? You can do certain things to mitigate the pain, but there's nothing that's just going to be like, oh, you know, gone. If there was one, it would be a really successful product. But unfortunately, all you can do is do the tried and true: milk, eat a banana, ice cream, you know. Certain other things, I had someone suggest Guinness. I would think that alcohol would help because capsaicin is an oil, so anything that would kind of get the oils off and wash them down. You know, if you could have something with alcohol, it sounds terrible to me, but something that's not too high proof to where it's going to exacerbate the pain, but something that is astringent and solvent enough to get the oil out, and then you could like rinse and spit it really quick. That way you're not flushing it down into your stomach. That can help. But this one, you don't need that. That's mostly for the super hots when you're just dying of pain and you need some relief. This one, very pleasant. It's kind of like, reminds me a lot of the other review that I did. I'm blanking on the name of the pepper itself. The Batman Tangerine. That's right. Thing just almost no spice, incredible flavor. This one, if I had to make an analogy, is that, but the spice level kicked up just a little bit. Getting spicy burps. Mix of the LaCroix, no food, and just pepper. But yeah, this one seems like it's just that one kicked up a notch, which if you liked the idea of the Batman Tangerine, that fantastic flavor, but you wish that maybe it did have a little bit of spice, this one seems like perfect for that. So I'll try and get it stabilized, try and get it commercially ready, I guess you'd say, for people to grow out, but I'm gonna need probably at least another season to get that ready. I'm gonna go overwinter the plants and then see what I can do within the span of this winter and then into the next season, and hopefully by then I can have enough generations to stabilize and pick the traits that I want. But other than that, this was a review of the Hainan Yellow Lantern Pepper crossed to a Scotch Bonnet. No idea what I'm going to name it. Let me know if you got any cool ideas in the comments. Thank you for watching. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it. Leave a comment, and subscribe if you want to. Peace.